Welcome to the Straight Red Card. We are continuing the preview for the next MLS season, and today we have with us John Knox, who is the president of the Vancouver Southsiders. John, thanks for coming on the show and joining us.
Hey, no problem.
The first thing that struck me, I love that this is the actually first real genuine Canadian accent we've had on the show.
We have an accent? Are you kidding me?
We say the same thing here in Indiana, don't worry.
Yeah. We're very sensitive to the slightest accent outside of the standard Midwest one, but
yeah.
But thanks for coming on, and of course it's a big, bright, wonderful, all the possibilities and potential. It's all wide open. Anything could happen this season. So let's start off with some of the key players that you guys have signed so far, and of course you have a lot of holdovers from last year as well. If you want to tap into that, that's as well. But I thought I'd kick it off and let you kind of give us your overview of the big signings so far.
Yeah, well, obviously the one that gets a lot of media play here and probably throughout MLS is Jay Demerit. Right. He's obviously got a fantastic story, in terms of his career, basically emptying his bank account to go ply his trade in England, starting in the 9th division and working his way to the Premiership.
Right.
And Jay is a guy who it's very, very obvious that he has a very strong personality, very good, determined character, and there's no question that he's going to be a real leader for this team, if not the captain. Mm-hmm. I would be surprised if he's not the captain, to be perfectly honest, at this stage.
Right.
Obviously, we've also had quite a bit of interest with regards to a couple of players that we've brought over from the Swiss Super League. Mm. We've got Alain Rochat, who is a defender, who's actually, he was born in Canada, but moved to Switzerland when he was 2. Mm. But under the rules that we have in MLS, he actually counts as a Canadian player. So he doesn't go against our international allocation, which is really good for us. Then, of course, we've got another guy who's not been formally signed to an MLS contract yet. Davide Chiumiento, try pronouncing that one.
You did a great job.
Well, thanks. It's tricky. It was really tricky with that one.
It is.
We tried to find a good nickname for that guy, and the best we can come up with right now is Chewbacca. So I don't know.
You might want to stick to just David.
Yeah, I think so. Now he was actually he was signed to Vancouver when we were a Division II team, so he was able to come forward with us without going through the draft process. He's not formally been announced as an MLS signing yet, but word around the campfire is that he's bought a Maserati. So we're taking that as a good sign that he's not going anywhere.
He's a ex-Juventus kid too.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah, he's an ex-Juventus kid. That's kind of where he started out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's amazing to see highlight reels of him, taking on some real tough opposition in Europe and realizing that guy's going to be playing for Vancouver.
Yeah.
And we've got lots to look forward to here. In terms of heart and soul, though, a Canadian fella by the name of Terry Dunfield. He's actually from Vancouver originally, and he went over to England as a teenager to work his way through a few youth systems over there. We've brought him in at the tail end of our last season in Division II, and the impact was immediate. This is a guy who leaves it all on the pitch. Every last drop of blood and sweat, he's going to leave it there.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, in the preseason matches that we've had so far, it's very clear that this is a guy that he's going to be frustrating to play against. He's going to be really crafty on the ball, and he's going to be, one of the people that really stands out for the fans as a guy who, really demonstrates the pride that we have for soccer here in Vancouver.
Yeah.
We've got a long history here, and he's a guy that really characterizes it.
Well, he was fantastic at Shrewsbury. I mean, he's always been known as kind of a real hard-working guy. And if you've played in the lower divisions in England, you're going to be one tough son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we were kind of joking, and the rumor mill was suggesting that Robbie Savage might be coming to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Right. He of course has a reputation for being, one of the dirtiest players that ever played the game. And the question we had in Vancouver is, well, if we bring Savage in, what do we do with Dunfield? Because we'll have two wrecking balls out there. But as it stands, Savage isn't coming over, so we'll see what kind of damage Dunfield can do. Hopefully, we can keep him on the pitch as opposed to off the pitch with the card.
I was going to say that sort of formula has worked in MLS with Chicago Fire when they first started with Marsh and Armas in the middle. It could work. It just depends who you surround them with.
I think Terry is a guy that adapts really, really well to any sort of circumstance with respect to the players that you put in front of him. He's a guy that's going to adapt his game to maximize the offensive potential that the club has. Now, that is something that Vancouver really, truly needs right now. We're hurting for strikers. We haven't brought in any significant signings in that department, so that's something that all of us here in Vancouver are really gritting our teeth over. We don't know when it's going to happen, but we hope they pull the trigger soon.
Yeah.
I know you're mentioning the strikers situation. This is one part that I was going to talk about was Omar Salgado. Obviously a huge talk here in the States, but we've been hearing that he's not going to be able to play until about halfway through the season when he turns 18. I mean, I heard that Vancouver's trying to appeal that with FIFA. Any news on that?
Well, yeah, they have put in the request for an exemption so he can play because obviously we're in a bit of a unique situation here where Canada, more or less, our teams play in the U.S. leagues. So it's not really the same as him being in another country, under the intentions that FIFA had for that regulation. Yeah. Now, what's good to see is that he's getting loads of playing time right now during the preseason, and he's going to need playing time to develop. Salgado is a kid who has a lot of, time to develop his game, even at 18. And what Vancouver has been able to prove over the past 5-6 years is that they develop talent like no other team in North America does. And I know it caught a lot of people by surprise when Salgado went as the number one pick, but I think that speaks volumes to the confidence that Vancouver has in its system. We will be turning out some really top caliber players, and we're just starting to see the fruits of that labor now. There's a couple guys that are in our reserves, in our PDL side, the residency program. And they're, the speed and the athleticism and the talent that these kids have, it's just phenomenal. And I really hope that other teams in MLS start taking a look at what Vancouver set up here and really following the model very closely because it benefits the league as a whole.
I absolutely agree. We've been hearing about that for so many, at least the last few years, couple of years.
Team and everything,
yeah, absolutely. One thing I had a question though when I look at sort of the lineup of players, when I look at Alain Rochat, when I look at Chiumiento, when I look at Gachi, and even when I look at a guy like Mabulu, and these guys, some of these guys are obviously still trialists, but there's sort of a Swiss connection going on here, even though that Mabulu played a lot in the lower French divisions. He was still born in Switzerland. Is there something that some sort of Swiss connection you can explain to us?
No, it is a bit of an interesting set of circumstances. I'm not personally aware of any specific link that the Whitecaps are using to identify these players. I know Tommy Sohn's been all over Central and South America looking for players, along with the coach Tater Torderson. And I'm going to have to assume that a lot of these players that are coming our way from Switzerland and from other European countries, a lot of this has to do with the contacts that Paul Barber, our CEO, has. He of course came to us from Tottenham Hotspur, right. And he's a guy that is probably the most well-connected executive in MLS. in addition to working at Spurs, he was also heavily involved in league marketing at the English Premiership. So this is a guy that, it would be probably a real trip to take a flip through his Rolodex and see who he's got on there. Maybe we can plan a break-in at the Whitecaps front office and we'll make some phone calls.